Call Kurtis exposing the city of Los Angeles for writing parking tickets to people who have never been in the city.
That was more than 2 years ago, and guess what? Tonight he's here to show us they are still at it.
And we want to know why. Why is this still happening? I've heard from many of you battling this. Many say you feel bullied to pay tickets that aren't even yours. Nobody likes it when the meter runs out, or you're parked under that sign you just didn't see. And this happens.
Hey! That's my car!
A ticket. Even worse, when it wasn't even you.
We got one mountain lion, and we got turkeys, deers, pheasants.
Frank Densmore's a country guy who volunteers as a park host at the Stillman McGee Park in Clemens.
I got this notice from City of LA that I owed them a parking ticket on my pop-up tent trailer, and it was silver in color.
It's his license plate, but his trailer is green and white, not silver, and the cobwebs prove it hasn't moved in years. Oh yeah, then there's this.
I've never been to LA, and I've got no way to move that trailer.
If I wasn't in Los Angeles, how could I have gotten a ticket?
Flight attendant Sheila Cunningham got a parking ticket in Inglewood from the LA Sheriff's Department on May 6th.
I knew I wasn't in Los Angeles. I knew where I was on May 6th. I was in Maui. My car was in employee secured parking.
She spent 3 days gathering bridge fast track records and parking logs, showing she was parked at the San Francisco airport when that ticket was written. That right there proves what?
Not guilty.
Getting random tickets from the LA region is an issue we first told you about 2 years ago. Art Blakeman and his wife from Sacramento each got a ticket from LA. Mark Lawrence, a sheriff's detective from my own, got more than 30 tickets from the city of West Hollywood. When you think Los Angeles, there are actually 88 different agencies that write parking tickets in the Los Angeles region. The city of Los Angeles alone has an army of more than 300 pencil pushers who write, get this, more than 12,000 parking tickets every day. Should the city of Los Angeles be writing upwards of 12,000 tickets a day if it can't do it without making mistakes? Robert Andelon with the city says the number of citation slip-ups has dropped slightly since our last story.
We only write the tickets that are necessary because of the violations that have occurred.
But according to his figures, city officers still write, on average, about 48 bogus tickets every day. If everybody paid them, that adds up to more than $600,000 in extra revenue each year. Is the city of LA writing bogus tickets to Northern Californians to generate revenue for the city?
No.
Officers are trained to enter the license plate, make, model, and the vehicle identification number into their handheld computers. If all that information doesn't later match up with a DMV database, the tickets are supposed to be investigated or dismissed. But sometimes officers out on the street don't get all that information.
All officers are trained to take the VIN if available, but if it's covered, you've seen, I'm sure, a lot of dashboards that are covered with paper, newspaper, and so on and so forth. So you're not going to be able to get a VIN.
And his office claims that only happens in 1 out of every 25 tickets. Do you think it's possible officers are lazy? They want to move on to the next car and they don't want to write down that VIN?
I think all things in life are possible, but I wouldn't go ahead and say that.
There was no VIN written on Frank's ticket.
They're trying to blackmail me out of $35 or $70. That's what it is, blackmail.
Why was this not caught before the ticket went out to him? When we showed Andelon Frank's ticket with no VIN and the wrong color on his trailer, it was dismissed right away.
We should have caught this.
And once Sheila sent in her packet of evidence, the LA Sheriff's Department dropped her ticket, admitting to us they mixed up a 4 and a 5 and didn't cross-reference her vehicle's information.
And we're sorry for that. We don't like to make mistakes.
Are the people of Sacramento going to stop getting tickets?
I can't predict the future.
But he says the city of LA is training staff to catch these bad tickets sooner.
I think we're going to minimize the error rate, but I could never say that we get down to 0. I think like anything that involves humans will involve possible errors.
Which never feels good if it affects you.
It stinks. It's not a great system.
All right, so here's the fix. The city of LA says it promises to do a better job listening when people call up to contest a ticket. If somebody says the make or model is wrong, the VIN is wrong, or they claim they weren't even in the city, it should get to a manager
and it should get dismissed faster.
It should, since we've been running a lot of promos on Kurtis's piece. Get this. I mean, what have we received
We haven't
already?
even put this story on the air yet, and we're already hearing from people who say they're getting tickets from Los Angeles. They weren't there, and guess what? We interviewed them in August about, doing a better job listening, and we have people here within that time frame who say they're not listening. They're telling me I have to pay this ticket, even though they weren't there.
What
they
a
feel
screw
bullied.
up. I mean, it's a major screw up.
Sounds like it, doesn't
They're
it?
not fixing it.
No, they're not. But you know what? They're not the only ones to blame.
Oh.
LA is not the only one to blame for bogus tickets. Tomorrow night, we uncover a flaw in the state system that could amount to thousands of bogus tickets going out to the wrong people. Here's a preview.
An Oakdale man got a red light ticket, but that's not him. That's not his car, and it's not his license plate.
Feels like a joke, more than anything.
We investigated, and the bureaucratic finger-pointing began. No one would own up to the mistake.
And guess what? They weren't looking at the right record.
But we got to the bottom of it, and one state agency got caught with its pants down.
But why would the DMV make up a story and tell us a story that is completely untrue? We're asking questions and getting answers tomorrow on the CBS 13 News at 10. And if you have received a ticket from Southern California that isn't yours and you can't get anybody to listen, we want to know about it. We've set up a special form on our website. Go to cbs13.com and right at the top of the page, click to open up that form. Dave?
Thank you very much, Kurtis. After a cool Monday, it's time for a change. When will the 70s return? We'll have those numbers coming up here on the 7-day forecast, plus some serious storm next year.
I know you're kidding.
Thank you. Northern Californians getting bogus tickets from Los Angeles, and last night's Call Kurtis investigation really struck a chord with viewers.
We call on Kurtis Ming with more people saying that they too got tickets they don't actually claim.
No, they're not theirs. We got 22 emails from people saying they too have battled bogus tickets. As we uncover, the city of LA writes on average 48 bogus tickets every day. They don't think it's a big issue considering they write 12,000 tickets a day, but they say they're working to get better. Viewers are telling me they still feel bullied to pay. Patty Gerald of Woodland got a ticket from LA when she wasn't there. She fought it and lost. And she writes, it was obviously a mistake and we figured the license tag number had been entered incorrectly. They said we had to pay it or an arrest warrant would be issued. We paid for a ticket that wasn't ours. Veranda White of Antelope says she mailed evidence her LA ticket was also bogus. She writes, I even sent in copies of receipts from the bank and post office here in Sacramento where I was 1 hour before the ticket was written. Her appeal was denied. But we found out Los Angeles isn't the only agency at fault when it comes to bogus tickets. Here's what's coming up.
An Oakdale man got a red light ticket, but that's not him. That's not his car, and it's not his license plate.
Feels like a joke, more than anything.
We investigated, and the bureaucratic finger-pointing began. No one would own up to the mistake.
And guess what? They weren't looking at the right record.
But we got to the bottom of it, and one state agency got caught with its pants down.
But why would the DMV make up a story and tell us a story that is completely untrue? We're asking questions, getting answers, and getting the state to change its ways. Later tonight, right here only on the CBS 13 News at 10.
All right, and we're also getting Wednesday's forecast right now.
Yes, and I have the ticket.
Sent to collections for a red light ticket. It isn't him, his plates, or his car.
It's not fair.
Call Kurtis catches a state agency with its pants down.
Why would the DMV make up a story?
Later tonight.
Last night, Call Kurtis exposed how Northern Californians are getting stiffed with bogus tickets from Los Angeles. Some of it's the fault of agencies in LA, but Kurtis Ming has now uncovered a flaw right at the DMV.
And it could amount to thousands of people being wrongfully ticketed each year.
Well, it all started with an email from a man in Oakdale who spent months trying to get to the bottom of a ticket that wasn't his, written 322 miles from his house. We quickly learned no one wanted to own up to the mistake. Our 4-month-long investigation eventually cracked open a flaw in the system that could potentially cause thousands of Californians to get bogus tickets.
The peace and quiet of Steve Lilly's Oakdale neighborhood is about as removed from Los Angeles as you can get.
Goats, we get coyotes.
But in April, he got entangled in a battle with the big city of LA when a red light ticket for $159 showed up in his country mailbox.
How long has it been since you've been in the city of Los Angeles?
7 years.
But the ticket says he rolled a red light in March, making a right turn at the intersection of Grand and Venice in Los Angeles.
Is this your car?
It's not my car. I've never even seen those plates either.
Look closer and you'll see the car in the photo is a Honda sedan. This is what Steve drives, a Kia SUV. And what about that fuzzy picture of the driver?
Was that you?
No, that's not me.
When he called to fight the ticket, the red light enforcement folks in LA assured him DMV records show the plates photographed are tied to his Kia. But his title and registration prove his car has different plates.
It's not fair. It doesn't seem fair at all.
4 months and 2 collection notices later, the LA court system is threatening to take away his driver's license, garnish his wages, even put a lien against his home if he doesn't pay the fine, which is now ballooned to $459.
Feels like a joke more than anything.
We've been following bogus LA area tickets written to Northern Californians for the past 2 years. One reason we've learned, officers are transposing numbers and letters, mixing up ones and I's. But the Department of Transportation in Los Angeles says there's another reason.
One of the things that I've learned in the past 2 years is working with DMV that there are some inconsistencies in some of the information we receive. They have more than one database that they're using.
So right after that interview this summer, we took his concerns and Steve's red light ticket issue to the DMV state headquarters.
That's not his car. He drives an SUV. It's silver, but it's a Kia.
Spokesperson Jan Mendoza told me it's not the DMV's fault these tickets are going out to the wrong people. She put square blame on Los Angeles.
And guess what? They weren't looking at the right record.
Mendoza said when the city of LA accessed the DMV database to figure out where to mail this red light ticket, they chose to get into the database using the wrong code, one that only pulls up a short, outdated record, one that incorrectly tied the plate seen in the photo to Steve's SUV.
It didn't quite give the whole picture. It just kind of gave half of the history.
Mendoza said local agencies don't like using the correct code that pulls up the complete record because it requires workers to scroll through a long report to find the most up-to-date information.
The reason they don't want to use it, it's not easy. I mean, it fills up their screen after screen that they have to look at. It's a little more cumbersome.
Why not just get rid of the old database?
Well, there aren't two databases. It's the code to access the database partially or fully.
Why not get rid of the old code?
I think they're working on that.
Shortly after that interview in August, the DMV seemed to change its story. And we found out about it after reading this memo from the DMV to all 780 local jurisdictions which write tickets in the state of California. It doesn't seem to place blame on the local jurisdictions at all for using the wrong code. Instead, it seems to acknowledge the problem may be with the DMV.
That memo, dated September 8th, reads, the DMV is aware of some inconsistent results with the codes in its database and is researching the cause. Turns out the city of LA didn't use the wrong code, but the DMV's tale of two codes and lazy local workers was completely not true.
Why did the story change from your office?
Mike Miranda is the head spokesperson at the DMV state headquarters.
When the memo went out in September, we identified the problem, and we're making enhancements, and we're moving forward to fix it.
But it sounds like sitting here right now, what we were told in August came out of thin air. Where was the information to back that? Why would we be told that at that time if that was completely inaccurate?
Well, the part of it came from the coding situation, okay? But we have recognized that there was enhancements that needed to be made to the code.
But again, where did that explanation about workers not wanting to scroll through screens come from?
Were we lied to in August?
No.
Was Jan wrong with what she told us back then?
Technically, yes.
And after a 30-minute interview, we finally got him to admit this about the DMV's tale of two codes.
It was a misunderstanding.
It was a misunderstanding.
It was not a lie. You did not lie to us?
No, it was a misunderstanding.
You didn't spin this to make it appear like it was a different jurisdiction's fault, instead of admitting that this issue was your own fault.
Well, this particular issue was, but at the same time, there are fail-safes as well on the other end. But this one was our fault.
It might have been easier to pay the $159.
After 4 months of aggravation, Steve's ticket has finally been dropped.
Yay, it's done.
But from his slice of serenity, just outside Oakdale, he says being bullied by bureaucracy just confirms why he's never had much faith in the system.
They need some help. They need some help.
Well, after dealing with the DMV for months on the matter, yesterday I was on a conference call with the agency's top brass. They admitted they need to change the database, so no matter how it's accessed, a short code, a long code, whatever code, local agencies have updated information to make sure they are mailing out the tickets to the correct people.
So, in the end, how did Steve Lilly actually end up with a ticket?
You want the simple answer, right?
Yeah, I do.
It's pretty complicated. Okay, well, it all started a couple years back. The DMV messed up sending out the wrong plates for Steve's Kia before he ever owned it. And it was all fixed back then. One code accessing the DMV database showed the fix, but the other code still tied these wrong plates to Steve's car. So in short, the database is not always consistent when you have these two different codes.
That's a big
the
problem.
tale of two codes is what this came down to, and one of them just wasn't even an issue at all at the end of the day.
Okay,
It's
Curtis,
amazing.
wow, that was a
amazing.
long haul, but worth it
Yeah,
in
and we
the
have
end.
no idea how long it's been this way.
Yeah.
So, all right, if you got a ticket from Southern California that isn't yours, we want to know about it. Grab your citation, go to CBS13.com and fill out our form, which is right at the top of the page at CBS13.com. Dave?